But it's mainly her, that Maria Parafina Tavares that's connected to the Rita, who I got a reading from. It's primarily her. I heard, that she wants me, fucking dead, killed off and shit, so I don't get my shit back. And she's been removing timelines and stuff out my body externally as well, so people can't see what the fuck is going on. And doing something to obfuscate where I'm at in the spirit plane, which is extremely fucking insidious and dangerous. And I heard she wants to manipulate my whatchamacallit to do with my consciousness as well as soul consciousness, and I feel that. It's not like, dealing with a simple thing where you're dealing with an entity. It's somebody's higher self, and then secondly, when you get soul swapped, you're already vulnerable, right? It's like what I heard about Adele. I heard, like a lot of them with Gucci Man and all that, I think he had a body, and I heard that his is really restricted. He's really, fucked up from you being able to find out what's going on. That's why they say you don't sign signing contracts. A lot of people, like I think Prince, he did something where he just gave him a percentage and probably a whole lot at the beginning. As he became more successful, he got more leverage. I read that somewhere, but I don't know how true that is. That's why I would never want no black car. I feel shit pulling out entity attachments. I got to get this wetback bitch off. I know 960 Hertz works on it, but she tried to do something to get to work on my entity, spirit, and all that shit. But anyways, I got to get this motherfucker off. The anniversary for that is coming up August 22nd, 2022. When they did their shit to me, it was May the 1st, 2024, which is not that far from my birthday, May the 14th. That's fucking depressing. I haven't felt like I was in, the physical world ever since, and I feel it. And I see that evil motherfucker in that timeline. That's an evil wetbag bitch who takes sadistic pleasure in torturing me and my family, my dad, my mother, one to, stay with the Illuminati in them timelines. I heard that in the spirit plane, this mall extension connoted to it. That's based off of, Esplanade Mall in New Orleans East that I used to frequent. That's how little they think of her and her kind. Because, God created God. Quetzalcoatl was shapeshifted into a white man. They grovel for that. We don't, because we are connected to God. You know, we're derived of the motherfuckers who set up the system, and now you got these, you know, with the Rothschilds, fake ass. You know, I ain't got nothing against them people, really. Rescue one recently, you know, fake Czar Jews, fucking crackers and shit that want to take their shit and usurp them. You know, they have a, but I understand, you know, like the wetback, theirs is born out of fear of white genetic annihilation. So that's why they have a conquering mentality. You know, that's very, very reptilian-like, but it's derived from survival, a survival mentality. So it's understandable. I can commiserate. Look up Dr. Frances Cress Wells, and she taught, you know, she wrote a book. My mother used to proselytize a lot about it back in the day, called the ISIS Papers, where it explains psychologically why white people are the way they are. Wetbacks, the motherfuckers come from entity attachments created by Satan. They were controlled very, very closely by them and reptilians. And on top of that, they create a guy with shapeshift into a white man. That's all you need to know. And anytime you're, that's why a lot of them are poor and pride themselves on doing menial work and don't have, you know, high expectations. When you got as a white man, that's actually a curse. It's a very, very, you know, controlling, dense energy. Anyways, with that being said, it's irrevocable. My parents got taken out their bodies and all of that. So, with that being said, I've been doing the little that I could so I can get back and try to, you know, I heard that they were going to do something tricky so I can never get back on August 22nd, 2022. That's why it's important. You know, I started listening because my frequency, you know, I was playing 446 hertz like one gentleman said to get my shit back and was having a very, very hard time. It was working and then, you know, it stops working. So there's times where you need, you know, backup or, you know, backup. You need other people to help you out. So I, you know, called on ancestors by calling on Yameya. And Yameya is, you know, she will come. You know, I also was playing Ogun, who's one of my favorites. He's part of the Brotherhood of Hammers or some shit, like Thor. And I started playing him. And another one who's very good for putting you back together is Obatala. I saw a paper saying out there just a couple of seconds. He's very good for putting you back together. So is Osane, who's a medicine man, herbal man. He's good for that. And, you know, I heard that Wetback had, you know, stole some of my ancestors that's connected to them, to entity attachments of them or something. And, you know, me and road spirits, people were able to get them back after a while. With that being said, I got scared. I started to feel like someone was about to control me. She's been fucking with my ability to play frequency. So, what I started doing was, I started playing Yameya and all of them. I saw something too right in the back of face early this morning. I'm getting a black screen mirror in the future and all. I shouldn't, but in my circumstances, that's extraordinary. Anyways, I think all I ever wanted to do was ask a project on the PCH. But anyways, with that being said, I started playing Yameya. Because my shit... Then I posted up a video that I was urged to do. It's like my head and the spirit plane turned 360 degrees. I felt detached from my consciousness, so I had to fix it. And fix it expeditiously. You know, the correct stuff like that, 1, 2, 3, 4 hertz can do that. Add as many zeros at the end and beginning as possible. I used to use 1, 2, 3, 5 hertz, which is good. 1, 2, 3 hertz is the building block for matter. But those are two good frequencies. 142 hertz is good for correcting shit, and so is 432 hertz. That's a very good number. 528 hertz, got that. Very good number. With that being said, I started playing them, you know. From what I've seen, she keeps throwing me out my body and out my body. When I took off the frankincense and myrrh and Florida water, I saw that I'm not fully incarnate. And I kept hearing that she was going to kill me in my sleep, the Santa Muerte or some shit like that. And I tried fucking her up early this morning, you know, using Palo Mayombe, which is energy work, you know, as compromised as I am. Now, I remember when I was in jail, you know, this shit's real. I remember hearing my parents astral project and everything, and ended up in the motel hell room. And I heard 5 months, 5 years till somebody got them out. I remember when I was there, I would take showers every single fucking day. And the deputies were telling me, you know, we see you take 2 showers. You shouldn't be smelling. That's something spiritual. And many of them were Hispanic, and they were going out of their way to try to, you know, make sure I survived the night. They knew what I was under. And I thank them for that in that timeline. That hurt so fucking much. You know, when you get soul swapped, I heard it with Kanye West. You know, he's not rich in his timeline. He's living in an RV. You can't fathom the overwhelmingness of not being in your body. You take that for granted for much of your life, that you're going to be in it because God gave it to you. You know, you signed a soul contract at birth. And I even heard from the Illuminati at one point, you know, were sympathetic. The reptilians, Rothschild's higher self is supposed to be a reptilian. One of the Rothschilds. I got a great grandmother who's Ashkenazi Jewish. It's being held in the hell realm by that Maria Paraffin over at 8704 Broadway, right up that way. Last name Stein, I believe. With that being said, I heard that this article connoted to her highest self. One of the Rothschilds, it was a woman's highest self being sympathetic and trying to tell me in her own way, do not go down this timeline, this path that's going to lead you down to this timeline. Like, I heard from the Robespierres, it's like with Santa Muerte. I was going to get blinded, but thankfully I got eyes to see through various spirits what's coming and what not to do. And spiritual protection to protect me from the worst. Because I heard the worst was coming and I saw something altering over there. I kept seeing something altering over there, like something from the fourth dimension, like a globe light or something, but not like that, like a disco ball light. With that being said, I was warned by her in her own way. Don't go down that timeline. Don't. Because it's going to be hell. You're going to be going through hell. And you don't deserve it because, unlike, and none of them people deserve it. From my perspective, you ain't never had money or wealth and knew that. You ain't never known that lifestyle. You come from good people. You were kind of set up. You didn't ask for this. It ain't like motherfuckers, I want to be famous. I'll do. You're an innocent fucking victim. And that's significant. That's jarring if it's coming from a reptilian, highest self of the Rothschilds. I saw energy vampirism. That's what I'm experiencing now. Astral body harvesting. I saw my brains and all of that with Madonna Ciccione in that timeline. I heard she was working with them people to steal my shit. One of her higher selves is named Lourdes Alariana Urantia. And, here's I heard that she did something where she removed the highest selves or the ancestors of them little black girls so she can take their shit. Now I feel no energy. I feel dead. One part about this whole thing is they keep putting enemies and all of that in charge of my consciousness, in charge of my soul consciousness. So I stay getting sacrificed and fed by them, and I can't escape all of this shit, including with them girls who's the fed I heard. So I got to do something about it. I heard with them, Pierre Holmes and all of that, they were going to go on. No say so and all in that timeline. They own something. It's by a different name. I forgot what they call it. But they were going to be born in a poor African village, but instead they were going to get the blessings I was supposed to get, but I'm going to end up getting shafted again. So I have to do something about this shit. I can't have all of this shit on me. I gotta escape. That's why I speak my truth. That's why I do these videos. It's important. I ain't trying to be under that shit. Gotta get my shit, get on. I ain't consent to none of this shit. I gotta be like my past life self and some gumption and circumvent this shit, There's ways to avoid it and end out on top. So allowing myself to be, falling to prey. I heard in the Roach Realm or something, she rapes them little girls. But she did it, I believe, to take from them or remove them from their body or something at a later date. Look how she got that boy, and you gotta watch them motherfuckers. Wetbacks, crack, all of them. Because they know more about your magic and they know more about you than you know about yourself. That's why it's important for blacks to know about themselves. Taking my child's conscious, soul conscious, and turning them into entity attachments to use against me if I try to get my shit back. That's some evil shit. That's what Paraffin did. I heard they trying to set up some. I got a soul tie, something with Santa Mirtha. They set up something. I got to break that shit, So I'm gonna go back to playing Yamaya, Hossein, Obatala, KKK if I need to, Nazi. I've actually had him help. Hitler. I heard that if you relate to Harriet Tubman, he's related to a lot of black folks and they don't know it. It's great people. Wetback motherfucker. Very, very smart man on the occult too. He has a realm called Schwabia underground, where the Cometians are, where they have the black sun, which is really the astral sun. In my original timeline, we had with that being said, I'm gonna have to, play all sorts of shit because it's depressing and, then this with a malicious, selfish, wetback bitch that laughing like a jackal and sound like fucking one. She ugly old wetback bitch. I heard she got shrew like fucking eyes. Your higher selves are made, try to find out who her dad was, because I heard that he's connected to her higher self. Her higher selves are made of your parents, I believe, mine, past life, all that. In her case, her parents, and I heard her mama was a prostitute or something, and her daddy, which ain't nothing wrong with it, and I want to mention something too. I don't even feel this shit is real. I feel like it's in the spirit plane. It just don't feel real. That's not I'm not going to even go on the diatribe, but that's not the Trump I knew. He was, I was looking at a comment, somebody left about MAGA Hulk, who back in my old timeline was, caping for Trump for the reasons I do, which is, defeat the fucking Illuminati. Defeat that Paul Dinac timeline where we're, the Asian races is going to get eliminated. And the Illuminati one, they got set up where we're going to end up like H.G. Wells, the time machine, where we're going to end up, being the fucking prey, being the, I forgot what he called them people in it, not the Morlocks. You had the Morlocks, and then you had I forgot what they call them, Ashnazi or something, some shit like that. You had the people living above ground, and they were like rabbits. And the Morlocks would feed off of them. And that's the future that the Illuminati has envisioned for us, except we're going to be cloned like the Isani, which is what people typically call the alien grays. We're going to be modeled after them, you know, the Zeta Reticuli grays, you know, clones where our souls live in and where we go and act as slaves and go and fetch shit for them in the universe. You don't want that. Very dystopian future. And Eminem wanted to come out and say something. He's just pure consciousness where he's at. They got him to where he's down to nothing. He's 3517 hertz, 117 hertz combined with 800 hertz to put somebody back together at as many zeros at the end and beginning as possible. It's just fucking depressing. It's hard for me to do anything, you know. I remember when I used to go to jail, I like to soul rescue people, and I can't do that. I had to tell that lady over the phone, I'm like, all I can do is carvings. I'll tell you frequencies, that's it. I am not touching anybody with the heavy shit I got. It's serious. I'm disabled. I'm in no place to do that. I can just offer you advice, and that's it. If you're in the same situation, a commiserate in the air. That's all. Regardless of race, it's depressing. You know, I keep having this wetback bitch lock me out my consciousness, lock me out my body. That's serious. And I wish somebody would just put my ass back together. You know, if I'm not mistaken, I remember when I think it was Baron Samedi and Marie Laveau, I had some ancestors come to try to, you know, put me back. They were setting it up where my soul consciousness was confused with theirs, you know, when this bitch was coming around. So I don't know what the intent was. I was trying to get my shit back after she stole a significant part of my soul consciousness, which is serious. And it wasn't the original. The original was nice. And they keep destroying him so that they can destroy, you know, take our black magic. As I say, our ancestral black magic. You gotta do something about it. It's just, I sound schizophrenic, but it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. You know, I can't go on the lectures, the diatribes I used to because I'm preoccupied with this, and it's I feel it's simple, but it's a death curse, but it's still, then you got soul swapping added to it, you know. How do you deal with that shit? It's too much to deal with. Got to get my body back. Got to put myself back together. It's a lot. And it's tricky when you have something like that in your body. Which sage and, frankincense and myrrh could get rid of or sage, but somebody's higher self, you know, like I said, I think she's a composite of a prostitute hooker mama and he cares some shit like that, and her daddy, who was a rapist, whose last name I believe was Vargas, and her Archangel Michael. I heard God don't like when wetbacks come in the spirit plane because they tend to have like a nefarious reason for wanting that power, to be an Archangel Michael and all of that. Hers, you know, and it's because of their derivation. They come straight from the primordial darkness. Hers is the other part, which is the more nefarious, is a rapist daddy. Her Archangel Michael is Raul Vargas III, and I want to say the name of her god. They did something where they tricked it up in the spirit plane and put it on my god, connected to my dad. And it's June. Hopefully nothing bad happens with that. Use 44 600 295 695. I had some little rose spirits trying to protect me that day. And it was a day she took advantage of when I drunk. You know, I drank like a little bit of homemade wine here, banana wine, which is healthy. It should be classified as kombucha, but she took advantage into the attachment of something and took over. Use 295 446 hertz, 295 combined with 695 hertz. Get shit back. Just somewhere she got me under. She manipulated my dad into becoming her god, like her dad in the spirit plane. You know, I feel confused with what I sense and feel in the spirit plane right now. You know, I want to make sure I get the right shit back. I felt her all this week, and I could feel it physically almost. Her putting entity attachments upon entity attachments to confuse shit. You know, when I was trying to get my timelines and all of that, you know, I heard going back to July the 23rd, 2025. They took a lot of my timelines. And it's been hell to try to get it back. So I'm under heavy spiritual oppression. Shit, I like kombucha, by the way, man. That shit's it gives you life and it's healthy for you. And my shit's so fucked up. My consciousness is so fucked up. I can't even drink it. But that's the major crux of the problem. So with that being said, we're going to do the cards. Yeah, I kept feeling her trying to control my consciousness. Show what I sense and feel. Being fucked with. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to throw these cards. That's why I be looking like all fucked up like a crackhead. You see I work out. I gotta do some reps right after I'm done. I got 2 of the swords right here again. Had 4 swords in reverse just now. Gotta fix this fucking problem, fix this situation. What I just pointed out is it's a major part, but not. She did somewhere she took over the attachment. It really fucked me out. 694, 695. As many zeros as possible to use your third eye. Trying to call on higher to higher selves. They keep removing them. It's just a lot of evil ass shit that I'm under. And it's all about keeping me out that timeline. Keeping me as close to death as possible. I don't like that. And then rebuilding me if I get close to that. That's fucked up. Alright, Knight of Wands. That's the obstacle position. And I feel that you're going through a lot of hell. A lot of trials and tribulations. A lot of blockages to get to where you need to be. Eight of Pentacles. Present position. Eight of Pentacles, present. Alright, Eight of Pentacles. Connection and guidance and disappeared this past weekend because of this odious ass wetback bitch. Feel like the Teflon Dynamite she can get away with it. It's hard for me to even think. The tarot reading. You're coming to terms with something, learning about the particulars of a situation that's hard for you to comprehend. The Hierophant, future position. I see you going to somebody very, very powerful for consultation. But I also see you going up against somebody very, very corrupt and not taking their shit. You're looking out for people. Ten of Cups is subconscious. You feel that you're in a place of contentment where, you know, you got all your ducks in a row, you figured out what's going on. Hermit. Is the goal position. And I feel that it pertains to looking more into a situation instead of jumping to conclusions, which is what a lot of motherfuckers need to do. Two of Pentacles is the advice card. I know this 1248 hertz works on her. So that lets me know she's part of Illuminati. I didn't play that if you're doing that, motherfucker. Some telling you not to work with some that's going to be against you. Queen of Wands is the energy that surrounds you. I feel that you're surrounded by a lot of negative energy. A lot of people that want to beat you down and hold you back. But success ain't that far off. Four of Swords. Fears in your hopes card. I feel like you're stuck in a jail where you feel like you can't go anywhere, but you're going to be free. Two of Swords is going to be the future position. And I see you barreling down on a decision that's going to be major for you and have major implications. And I mean it in a good way. With that being said, if you want a more personalized reading, wish I could do more. All I can give is just frequency and advice. So you can just help other people in my situation. So I ain't going too great. Call me at, contact me at ravenbyterror22@yahoo.com.